Greetings, I hope you're good and well. I'm doing a book review today for The Shockwave Rider by John Brunner. This book was published all the way back in 1975 and I would describe it as socio-political science fiction. The book is remembered in certain literary circles for being quite prescient. And it is prescient in my opinion because it predicted the modern world's transient nature, where everything seems to be in a constant state of change and nothing is permanent. The story is set in a future America where everything is in a perpetual state of change. Everybody has freelance jobs that they have only for about 6 months before moving on to another job. Everybody is moving apartments every few weeks or every few months. Nobody has a permanent home. And all of the characters in the book in general are rootless. They have rootless lives. The book predicted the internet in 1975. However, it is telephone-based internet. It's quite quaint. Many aspects of this book are quaint. To use the internet in the Shockwave Rider, you have to go out into the street, find a phone box, and then dial a number to go online. So it did predict the internet, but not very accurately. It's political, it's socio-political, and there is a kind of theme throughout the book where the author describes the history of the human race. The book could be described as a study of the human race, and the human race is broken down into 3 stages, which could be said to be true. Stage 1 was the leg race, and that was our primitive past, when we were hunter-gatherers in Africa, for example. Stage 2 was the arms race, which refers to the wars of the 20th century. And stage 3 is the brain race, which is basically data overload, which is happening today. Let's face it, everybody is bombarded with videos, memes, books. You know, if people do read books still, I do. But it's information overload everywhere. It's more. Everyone's glued to their smartphones. And this book did predict that. There are also paid avoidance zones in this story. Everybody is overworked. Everybody's moving houses and changing jobs. But there are certain areas in this story called paid avoidance zones, and they're basically off-the-grid zones, which do exist today. So it's another thing the book predicted. Some people decide to go off the grid to get away from the internet and get away from their smartphone. And John Brunner predicted that, and there are paid avoidance zones in the Shockwave Rider. Thank you for making it to the halfway point of this video. This is a quick message to let you know that I have a range of horror and science fiction books available, and most of them are completely free. If you enjoy my videos, you might also enjoy my stories. It's also a great way to support my work. Read one of my books for free, leave a review for it, and you'll be helping me to grow as an author and a book reviewer. And if you want exclusive updates about my upcoming publications, consider joining my mailing list. You'll also receive a free audiobook for doing so. All of the links are in the description box below. Now, back to the video. I'm praising this book quite a lot, and I'm giving it credit for being prescient. However, I wasn't that impressed by it. The storyline itself is quite good. This is what got me reading it. A future government, a future totalitarian government, finds young geniuses and kind of recruits them as government workers, and they use these young geniuses to make decisions for the government. They kind of seek out young prodigies, young geniuses. And one of these geniuses becomes disillusioned by the government and escapes, and then he learns how to change his identity every couple of weeks or so, using the internet as well. That's the general premise of the story. One of these government workers escapes. The characters in this book are so two-dimensional, they're laughable, really. It's, you know, John Brunner, after reading this book, he was into politics and he was quite smart. He was into, like, he knew a lot about the government and stuff, but it seems to me that he wasn't a creative writer. He certainly wasn't Stephen King. The characters in this book they came across to me like cardboard cutouts. The book itself as well is very clunky. It feels like it's just been thrown together. And the scenes were very hard to visualise as well. That annoys me. I'm a visual person. I like to be able to visualise scenes. In short, the book is not crafted very well. It had great foresight back in 1975, but the creative skills of the author just weren't there for me. I gave this book 3 stars on Goodreads, and those 3 stars were basically earned from the foresight of the author, predicting the internet and predicting the transient nature of the 21st century, as I've mentioned. That's why I gave it 3 stars instead of about 2, to be honest. But it has the internet. The book predicted the internet, phone booth internet. It mentions orbital factories, which I quite liked. That was a nice little touch. And also there are therapy clinics in this story for people who are suffering from data information overload, which is a nice touch. In today's world, the whole smartphone thing is affecting young people's mental health. So again, it's quite prescient. There are these clinics where you can go and see a doctor to try and get this treatment for brain overload, and it's happening today for real. However, as I've mentioned before in other videos, even though this science fiction book predicted a lot, even though it predicted the internet, it didn't predict smartphones. I'm yet to read an old science fiction novel, even any of the good ones, that predicted smartphones. It seems like, you know, nobody can quite get it right. People predicted the internet in Neuromancer predicted the internet as well, but even in that book there are no smartphones. So that's one thing that they never seemed to predict back in the 70s. Despite the great book cover, despite the genius insights and the genius predictions, I don't actually recommend reading The Shockwave Rider. It's just simply not put together that well. It's hard to visualise. The characters are clunky and two-dimensional, and this John Brunner, I presume he's dead now. It's a long time ago. He seemed like a techie, and a lot of techies are not creative writers. They're good at writing science fiction, but not in a creative way. It reads like a political commentary, not a novel. I would actually give this one a miss unless you're a hardcore science fiction fan. By the way, mentioning the book cover, I couldn't help but notice that the man on the front cover here is missing a penis. It's just a small detail that I noticed shortly after reading the book. I think they probably got rid of it just so the front cover wasn't sexually explicit or whatever, but shame, just a little detail there. Great cover though. Anyway, it's a mixed review for the Shockwave Rider from me. I don't really recommend it. I gave it 3 stars for its insight. But there are probably many other science fiction books out there that are better than this one that you could spend your time on. Okay? Thanks very much for watching. I'll be back in 2 weeks with another book review. In the meantime, try to have a good day on this socio-political, rootless, transient piece of rock we call Earth. Lots of literary love. Goodbye.